In this video, let's take a look at troubleshooting your library in Kinetic Text Animator. This is as of version 1.10, so you have the ability to come in here and look for any kind of image that you want to animate if you've loaded them. So there is a video on how to load those. Please check that out. But you can use the import function, or you can use the advanced function, which I'm going to talk about here. Which is my preferred way of doing it. So when you do use that, you want to click on Open Manage your data. So let's do that again. Let's go under Advanced App, Manage App Data. And do pay attention to this. This is very important that you do not rename or move this folder here. So so I want to go ahead and open this up, and then here's my different file formats. So we're looking at audio for your audio files. You've got backgrounds for your images. That's going to be the backgrounds. That's not going to be the images that you animate with the image animation tool or feature. And then you've got video here. The other folders are really something that you need to avoid working. You can, of course, work with your saved files, but that's something you do not want. I mean, these are things that you save, but you do not want to go in here and mess with those, really. So the background, audio, and video are the main ones. Let's look at the backgrounds, because I have the most in there. So what you need to do is, you notice here, so let's go back here for a second. This is where I would put all my backgrounds. Now I need to have only one level. So in other words, I have a folder for animals there, and there's no subfolders within that. So similarly, I have one for couples, looks fine, and so forth. So you'll notice that all of the names are lowercase with a dash where a space would be, and you can use numbers in the names. And what's going to happen when it loads that if I look at my browser here, and according to the categories, it's going to load them there, and it automatically adds the space and puts a capital there. So you need to go ahead and name them according to that kind of naming convention. And so if you're finding that something is not loading, make sure that you have put it in some sort of subfolder. For images, it's going to be JPEG and PNG. If you've got JPEG as JPEG, then it's not going to recognize it. So they do need to have the file extension. The ideal way to name, if you're doing your own files, the keywords is to have the first letter of each keyword with no spaces after that. So in this particular one, if you typed in horse, it would find it because it would start at the H and look for horse. If you typed HORS without an E, it would still find it, and so forth. So it's going to basically, when you're doing your keywords, it's good to go ahead and add S whenever it makes sense. So instead of horse, put horses. Instead of animals, put instead of animal, put animals. Just because when you're doing a search, you often will do that. So there you go. So that's pretty much the naming convention. So just make sure that you don't have anything, any subfolders within these folders. And for the audio, you can work with MP3 or WAV files. So, and for video, it's pretty much just MP4. I think we now support MOV. If you find that a video is not working, please let us know and send us that video so that we can check it out. But it's going to be MP4 and MOV, I think, at most. I think MOV is not going to import the transparency. It's just going to import. In fact, I know that we support MOV files now because a lot of you iPhone users let us know that you weren't able to get your videos into Kinetic Text Animator, so we updated that. Our Carvel did, the programmer. So that will pretty much help you get your library in order. So again, make sure that any folders are, there's no subfolders within that folder, and make sure that the naming structure is lowercase, and if you have a space, put a dash there instead of a space, and you should be good to go from that point on. Just again, do not change the name or the location of this particular folder, or you'll lose that. On the other hand, when you, a lot of people have asked if you install a new version of Kinetic Text Animator, since this is in a separate folder, it should show up. You shouldn't have to reinstall your images. So that's very good. But of course, if you move or delete or otherwise change this, then it's going to have a problem. Some of you will note that Kinetic Text Animator has a hard time working if you put it on a separate drive than your main drive. We're sorry, but that's just part of the way that this needs to work because of the fonts, because of loading assets like this and so forth. It really has to be on your main drive. So that should cover troubleshooting your library with Kinetic Text Animator.